Good evening, everyone. I'm Martin Gosden. I'm the SWE branch co-chair. Welcome to our branch webinar tonight. This evening, we're very pleased to have sort of an old colleague of mine, Ian Butcher, because I used to work at DNS as well. And he's a sort of a senior sort of a project sort of a consultant manager at DNS at Abbey Wood. Which has been in the news the last couple of days. I think he will sort of address that head on in due course in his presentation. There won't be any sort of hiding behind anything like that. So welcome for this evening. Valuation sheets, please. Just a quick mention about those. If you can let us know what you think about the event, what you like, what you didn't like, particularly ideas for the future as well. It's really important for us as a committee of volunteers to actually listen to what our members want and actually deliver what you actually require for your personal professional development. So please fill in the valuation sheets on that one. Please submit any questions you may have on the via the platform, and then Rob will deal with them and sort of put them to Ian after his presentation is finished. So please sort of get busy on that. A little bit about APM information. We haven't had any physical events yet. We can, from the APM board point of view, have physical events now, but as a branch, we've decided we won't be doing that until sort of early next year. So we're busy planning a few events to sort of face-to-face back in Bristol and over in Swansea, and hopefully down in Exeter as well over the next few months. We'll be continuing to do a few virtual events as well, because they do have the wider reach run rather than just sort of the physical events. But we know you want to get together, network, and also have that sort of a bit of food and bit of drink as well. So we're looking forward to that as well. Just a reminder, there's a lot of excellent resources on the APM website about APM learning and all the other resources you have. So please get to look at that and sort of take part and develop yourselves against that. So that's a sort of free resource if you're a member. And also mention about the APM Hub, which is a good discussion forum. And that's now regionally based as well as specific interest group based. So it should be is progressing in its development quite well with regards to that. Now, as usual, Chartered Project Professional, the advice and guidance, there's lots of webinars going on all the time. And so APM Head sort of centrally are organising those webinars. So if you're interested to CHPP, do get involved. And obviously, when we're back in the physical events, we can talk to you about that from a committee point of view as well. We've got several events coming up. Looking a little bit back, we had a really successful 2-day virtual conference, which went very well, and looking at the future of the project team over a couple of days back in October. Next event after this one is the 23rd of November, and that's looking at the benefits of collaboration for project success. We're really pleased to have David Hawkins, the Institute of Collaborative Working, coming to talk to us about that. Then on 2nd December, we're going to look at Agile Delivery. The devil is not in the detail, so it's a little bit more sort of a different take on Agile. Agile seems to be the buzzword at the moment, but I have my sort of views about that, as I'm sure many people do as well. And we've got Bob Willis going to be talking about that. So sort of he's got many years of experience in Agile, so he'll be sharing sort of what does and doesn't work with regards to that. And then on the 9th of December, we have a virtual networking event, so please get involved in that as well. And that's going to be talking about empowering young professionals. So if you've got a view on that or want to learn more, please get involved and sort of get booked up to that event, please. As I already said, we'll be looking to sort of host more webinars, but also start mixing in the physical events as well. So looking forward to that in the new year. So now, without further ado, it's a great pleasure to introduce our speaker for tonight, Ian Butcher. Ian's a very experienced chartered project professional at MoD DNS, old colleague of mine, as I mentioned. Tonight, Ian's going to discuss how DNS is transforming the way it delivers its equipment and support projects, and it couldn't be a better time with the recent publication of the Public Accounts Committee report. So, Ian, over to you, sir.
Okay, so Martin, so thanks very much for that warm welcome. Yeah, couldn't be a better time. I must admit that I do feel a little bit like the comedian that just walked on stage. Yeah, when the warm-up actors just crashed. Yeah, before me. That PAC report. Yeah, the timing couldn't have been perhaps less helpful to me. But also a good evening to those of you who are tuning in tonight. Yeah, I think that initially I really felt this was a branch lecture, but perhaps these days with everything now, webinar and so on, I gather we've got people online from as far afield as Preston, I guess Wharton, your sort of area. So a warm welcome to you from, I guess, cold, dark Lancashire. So Yeah, hi also to those who watch this webinar in the future, because I gather that it will be recorded and made available on the APM website. Looking really then at the outline for today. I'm going to cover what is DNS, and what does it do, in case perhaps any of you aren't aware of that. The origins, the history behind our transformation program, and then most importantly, the transformation journey that we've under for recent years. Bringing out really three major themes within that. Major changes to our organizational structures. Changes that directly affected people, the way they're employed. And perhaps most importantly, given the audience today, the process and control framework, the tools, the way that we actually go about delivery. That question, has transformation delivered? Well, I'm certainly proposing to go through that, that topic. I'll leave you to perhaps draw your own conclusions. But that report yesterday perhaps wasn't entirely helpful. But we will take some of those issues head on as we go. We'll then talk to what's left to do. So, joking aside, has transformation delivered? Transformation hasn't really stopped. We now badge it really now more as continuous improvement. But there's a lot more in the hopper. There's a lot more that we are actively working on now. The business is not standing still, which perhaps is partly the answer that BAC would want. And we'll finish with some personal reflections on the journey that we've done over the last few years. I think as Martin has indicated, questions please at the end. That will avoid me hopefully go down rabbit holes. And we'll take those as we go. So really starting off then with about us. Now, my guess is that there are a fair number of MoD colleagues online here tonight. Thanks very much for your attendance. Hopefully, you won't throw any difficult questions to me at the end. But the first step in any project manager's planning process is to understand the scope. So, what is it that DNS does? And then we can look at transforming. So, in very simple terms, DNS is the part of UK MoD Ministry of Defence which, working with the military commands, in essence the armed services, with MoD head office, and most importantly with industry, provides and supports the equipment used by our armed forces. Whilst we are an integral part of MoD, so we're part of the government machine in that sense, we're formally classed as an arm's length body. That's really a little bit like a company that's wholly owned by MoD, able to deliver its business with a fair degree of autonomy, but still owned and tasked on a day-to-day basis by MoD proper. That really is DNS. It's important to note, really for a matter of clarity, that whilst DNS used to look after submarines, both acquisition and support, that work moved into a separate organisation called the Submarine Delivery Agency a few years ago. I'm guessing probably 4 or 5 years ago, around at the start of this transformation programme. SDA, as we refer to it, has broadly undergone the same transformation, but to avoid any but some different type questions, and to avoid also questions that I might not be able to specifically answer, let's treat SDA as out of scope for tonight's brief. So really, that's the organisation. And really putting us into numbers. The numbers here are all very neatly rounded. Our workforce, top left, over 12,000 civilian and military. And within that total, around about 10%, big handfuls, military, the rest of them, civilian. We deliver a programme of work of around about £10 billion a year. And we do that with an operating budget of about 1/10 of that, so 1.1 billion a year in big handfuls. So we are a sizable part of government, a sizable business in any terms. In terms of projects, perhaps the reason that we were getting a little bit of media attention yesterday, DNS delivers 80% of MOD's your largest projects. Those that we don't deliver are delivered fundamentally by Submarines Delivery Agency, submarines. So obviously, defence infrastructure organisation, they handle the big infrastructure type type projects, and defence digital. You're based primarily in Corsham, deals with a lot of our major communications and IT networks. So that's why DENS there. We've got 80%. Explain really where the rest of it fits in. In terms of projects, ultimately you can debate till the cows go home exactly what is the boundaries of a project. We class in our business 600 plus major major projects. In very simple terms, those will be projects that are typically, certainly anything that is above 20 million will be classed as a standalone project. Those smaller we will sometimes group, but 600 projects is a lot of business in anybody's terms. What does that equate to though in terms of contracts? You're around about 4,500 contracts you placed over the last 5 years. The actual number of contract placed on a year-to-year basis clearly fluctuates up and down a little bit, but you got some feel for the number of contracts that we've got. And the reasons why when you're in the press and so on, we hear, perhaps no great surprise to us, that a particular contract has got problems. Put that into context. The number of contracts that we are actually running is quite large. Headquarters in Bristol. My guess is many people online tonight will be southwest of England based, so they will probably know of our headquarters in Bristol at Abbey Wood. Like many office companies, mostly empty at the moment, but it is a large university-style campus. Lovely office accommodation that we've got. Pity it's empty. That emptiness over the last 18 months, I must say, has done wonders for congestion on the local road system, and many of us have got quite used to working from home, although delivering something like this to a virtual audience is still quite strange. Although Abbey Wood in Bristol is our main location with, I'm guessing, probably 80% plus 80-90% of our workforce probably is Abbey Wood based here nominally. We've got staff working in over 100 locations many of them in the UK, and you can see the map there and possibly just about make out some of the things they're working on. Your staff working UK and overseas, including support of operations. Some of those I'm just looking down the left hand side there, Beath and Kyneton, they are munitions depots, so there are still some bits of DNS that are quite industry-like. They are actually doing hands-on refurbishment of missiles and torpedoes and the like. Most of us, though, would be people that you recognise as being people that predominantly sit behind desks typing away at computers. Some people, though, are even overseas. Sometimes that's because of the procurements that we do, which involve overseas partners. There are small numbers that even get abroad in support of operations. So that really just summarises the business as we stand. So then, as Martin's explained, I've worked for MoD. I think he explained as MoD that I had. If not, it was in my my précis. I've only worked for MoD now here for 37 years. Since joining as a graduate, and throughout my long and illustrious career, I can recall that large-scale transformations have come along at regular intervals. The graphic that you're seeing here, and I do apologise, it is busy, but I stole it from a report rather than write something specifically here for you. Just shows some of that historic change. And I would observe there are probably words and phrases here that might make Martin Gosden, clearly ex-MoD, go a bit dewy-eyed. And certainly there are things here, reports here that I can say I probably wouldn't find in the office, but I can find in my secret archive up in the roof some of these lovely reports. Things that I would highlight. I'm not sure whether my mouse will bring them out. Things that I was particularly saw with interest. MoD PE. I can remember MoD, the procurement executive, formed in 1971. So before I joined. Other things that leapt out for me. A more commercial approach to procurement was instigated. That more than anything from memory, and Martin, correct me if you think I'm wrong, that would have been Lord Levine, or Peter Levine as he was at the time, a move away from what were quite often cost plus contracts for major projects to a much much harsher, contracting regime of firm price, contracts. It was that hard edge that we were seeing coming through there. Another phrase I can remember: Jordan, Lee, and Causey. I must admit, I can't remember too much of the detail of what that was, but again, looking at how we improve management of major projects, in particular. Over on the right-hand side, I can't see it because there are boxes hiding under my screen. In 1994, the move, or the start of the move of MoD PE, as we were still then, to Abbey Wood, in '94, and that move completed from memory, spring '97. Radical reforms then probably over now on the very much the right hand side under what's called smart procurement, perhaps a rather unfortunate title, but that was again external experience coming through, changing the way that that we worked back end of the '90s. And final on that right hand side, the conversion of MoD PE to the Defence Procurement Agency, so a step before where we are now, and the merger of what had been logistics support organisations fundamentally owned by each of the branches of the armed services. They were brought together to form the Defence Logistics Organisation. So we've seen a lot of that change, both organisationally and to our strategic thinking, our ways of working. I think it's also interesting to observe that along the way, that so-called peace dividend really took hold, and we've seen massive changes, massive reductions in the scale of MoD, and what is these days DNS, and that downsizing is both because of that peace dividend, linked to the shrinking of our armed forces, and as many of you will probably be aware, jobs that some of you will be sitting in industry today would at one time have been within the government, within the civil service part of MoD. So that's the historic perspective on change, and that really was just the wider context, because really what you are here going to hear today really is the more recent journey. So that recent journey, starting with that burning platform, the logo that I found there shows I can do clip art when I try hard at it, boss. The Grey report on defence acquisition, any change program clearly needs that burning platform, and Bernard's report certainly provided that, as we'll see in a moment. Bernard, Sir Bernard, as he became later on, was at that time a political advisor to Secretary of State, so he was operating in that inner sanctum of government, really involved quite closely with Secretary of State in thinking about how we actually transform from within. We'll look at his findings in a moment, but in short, looking across this slide, his report in October 2009 led, 18 months later on, to the launch of the Material Strategy Program. I always found it the most peculiar title, but really that was the start of the latest phase of transformation for us. Lord Levine, in 2011, published the Defence Reform Report. The significance of that is that we'll see in a moment that some of Bernard Grey's observations, criticisms, pointed very much at the space that DENS occupies today. Other bits, though, were pointing out into other parts of MoD. So Lord Levine's report particularly focused on those bits that were non-DNS. April 2014, we became this bespoke trading entity. So we stopped being an agency and were given a different set of freedoms and constraints to work within. I won't bore you on the details, not least because I've forgotten quite what those real significances were of that change. But we then started in June 2015 the transformation program, proper. 2018, as we'll see perhaps in a few moments, with Did Transformation Deliver? The formal transformation program was chopped off then. It had met its strategic goals, and in July 18 we moved into a more continuous form of improvement, embedding that transformation, looking to constantly improve, having done pulled the big levers that transformation had set out to do. Over on the right hand side, again hidden on my screen, we've got got the later stages of the journey, so the DNS 21 improvement program, and most recently the strategy for DNS 25, which we'll talk about towards the end of this presentation. So those numbers, DNS 21 and DNS 25, those represent 2021 being the aim point and 2025 being the aim point. So we're tending to look at our change and improvement activity in tranches of 3 or 4 years, which probably is a reasonable aim point for any business. So that's again the strategic perspective that we've got. But perhaps then this burning platform, what were the nasty things that that Bernard, soon to be Sir Bernard, had to say? Firstly, again, for that clarification, his report was about us, MoD's approach to acquisition of equipment and its support, in the broadest sense, and at least by inference, the way that our major suppliers perform, not always, as perhaps we would like, sometimes that is pointing to relationship issues as much as issues with requirements and contracts. It takes two to tango, as they say. So it wasn't just focused on DNS, but his overall conclusion and was that the end-to-end your process was pretty ineffective. That we had a process that was fundamentally broken. Root cause one, as we're seeing top left, and some of these things it is interesting to see again coming through in PAC's report yesterday. Costs and schedules consistently underestimated. Requirements overspecified and not prioritized. That gold plating is sometimes referred, not literal gold plating, but buying things that have a higher standard, and therefore, inevitably a higher cost than you really need. Do you want an 80% solution perhaps rather than the 100% one? That budget, had been recently balanced, but underlying incentives, hadn't been addressed. So there were tensions still, within the overall pot, that overheating type issue, which to some extent we're hearing again now. Root cause two, blurred, blurred roles and accountabilities, and uncontrolled, uncosted changes to requirements and lack of accurate financial data. This issue about changes to requirements, and indeed the whole issue about our interface, with our military customers. So the way that we work within DNS now, and fundamentally have done for many years, is that our customers, very simple language, armed forces, or representatives on their behalf, they define the capabilities that they require to meet MoD strategic objectives. Those get distilled down into equipment requirements, still generally expressed initially in capability terms. The problems that we see is that the problems that we see, the problems that Bernard in particular was highlighting, was that the whole process, where military customers want things, DNS provides those things, if you are that military customer, and your DNS or our predecessors, were offering timescales and costs that looked particularly attractive to you. You take that project into your program, even if deep down you believe that, that time and cost is understated. The reason being, it's generally much harder, to stop projects, once they're underway, than to get them going, get them moving, in the first place. So, there was that conspiracy to some extent, between our military bosses, and us in DNS perhaps, that led to some of the programs being overheated. So we got that. There was also challenges that DNS, many of our senior staff were, and many still are, military. Did that create some rather twisted loyalties? And I'm saying nothing that you can't read yourself. I think when these slides come out, hopefully links will work. In the top right hand corner, I've actually put a hyperlink to it, but you will find it on the internet if you are interested in reading that report. It really is quite quite interesting, quite hard, quite hard hitting. But that change requests in root cause 2, once you've got something into the program, you make changes to it to perhaps turn it to what you really want. Change in any business business is hugely destabilizing. It drives up cost. It generally pushes timescales out. A lot of those changes you would never even followed through on. So we ended up within the business of a lot of resource being diverted, and generally quite important skilled resources being diverted. Defining, developing your plans and costs for changes the customers never actually then follow through. So quite a lot of problems between DNS and our military customers. Root cause three. DNS required significantly improved business capabilities. So it wasn't just our project delivery skills that Bernard didn't like. He didn't think much of our commercial skills either. And that amalgam of knowledge and skills, which you referred to as business acumen. And it's hard really to find other ways of describing it. Now commercial, now savviness. That sort of thing. He felt we weren't really worldly wise. And in a way that he ex-industry, ex-private sector, and so on. He was quite a wheeler dealer, himself. He'd owned, I think, The Economist at some point. New Science, I think he'd owned. So he'd made a very successful business, in his previous career. So he knew what he would see in that private sector, and he wasn't seeing it within the public. He highlighted the difficulties that we retained in recruiting and retaining specialist staff, and didn't like our tools and systems. So some real challenges there. And it concluded overall that the collective skills, knowledge, tools, and processes, we just explain why we were so bad, crappy, I think is language, at planning, executing projects. So, some of this, when we look collectively at what he had to say, some of that landed quite well, with staff, because I probably like any organization, many staff, if you actually go and ask them, will tell you what's wrong with the business and so on. So some of what we were hearing him say, I've been saying that all along, and so on. Other bits, you're not surprised he went down like a lead balloon, with staff. So that was the bonfire that he lit. And it's interesting when you start to see, so yesterday's report. Some of these things, are still there, and I'll probably try and touch on that as we go through. So material strategy program. So this was the funny name program that came about after Bernard's report. And I must admit, I've often wondered, whether Bernard, as he was then, Sir Bernard as he later become, whether when he lit the bonfire, he knew that he was destined to become back, into the business as chief executive. I don't know whether it was the intention, how he felt about it, but at one level, it's a very, very shrewd move, isn't it? You get someone to come and tell you what's wrong with an organisation, and then they say, "Come on, smart Alec, now you go and fix it." So it's pretty immaterial anyway, as the program was born. So Bernard, it was brought in to basically fix the problems that he had identified. And what he did, we did. Some of this most definitely with the wider MoD. The first thing was we re-baseline an equipment program. And that was through what was referred to at the time as a whiteboard exercise. Nothing much more than literally the whiteboards on the walls and writing. People wrote down the lists of projects that were running. And they were moved up and down the whiteboard until the active, the live program it was back in balance. With the money that could be afforded. With a margin left. For cost growth and change. So that was a very brutal exercise. We ended up with quite a lot of projects that had been running were quite literally then parked, and some of those never got going again. That was a brutal exercise to bring the program back into the balance, with the money. The next one down, explore GoCo. Government owned contractor operated is what GoCo stands for. So GoCo, Bernard had this very strong view that this civil servant, this public sector organization was incapable of transforming from within, and fundamentally we needed to bring in a private sector partner to run the organization with a lot of the existing staff then working for them. One might argue that this was effectively privatization, just by another name. So like any any market testing organisation. So we were going to privatise. Yoko was put against an in-house bid. What's the best that DNS you can do yourselves? And let's compare that with what. I think it was two bidders. Were originally lined up. To do that one. So we went down that that particular path. And that particular path. Suddenly crashed. Into smithereens. When one of the two bidders withdrew and withdrew from memories going back now 4 years or so, 5 years ago. They withdrew because of the commercial risks in taking on a business like the scale of DNS. If we get things wrong, and this was a commercial organisation, you'd bankrupt your companies if you didn't get things things sorted. So they withdrew, leaving just one bidder in the frame. An MoD decided that given the novelty of what we were looking to do, there was no way we were going to proceed on a single tender basis on something that novel. So we were left fundamentally to transform from within, which we'll come to again in a moment. Your DNS was set up as a bespoke trading entity, so you could say similar to the agency status it had before, but with a different set of freedoms, and probably greater freedoms than we had before. And that final bullet in what we did there, a much stronger customer supplier relationship. So that coziness that Bernard had observed between DNS or MoD DPA as we would have been at that time, and our customers. He wanted to sever that by effectively putting us on almost like an internal trading type arrangement. So our customers set requirements. We agree those in much the same way that we would agree with an industrial supplier. It's effectively a contract, although not not legally a contract. Change mechanisms much more robust, much more formalized around that than we'd ever had before. So putting that customer supplier relationship onto a much firmer footing. So how did we do this? So although I've mentioned that GoCo path, that contractor, that privatization by another name, crashed and burned when the competition fell apart, that still left the real concern that, but DNS, you're incapable of transforming from within. If you were, you wouldn't have the problems that that you've got. So what was done was that partners, parties from what were the two GoCo bidders, Bechtel, CH2M, and PwC. They came into DNS as managed service providers, a funny title, but fundamentally lots of consultants, hundreds and hundreds of them brought in to teach us, to help us design better tools, processes, upskill staff, and so on. So rather than outsourcing DNS, privatizing by bringing someone in to run the business, we ran the business, but with significant numbers of consultants there actually doing change from within the business. We put in place robust governance structures around delivery of those plans, and those included both really a longer term vision, but in-year plans, incremental milestones en route to our objectives, maturity measures, checking checkpoint as we go to make sure that we are heading in the right direction, both in terms of the rate of progress and the likelihood of achieving the benefits that we were looking for. Benefits were tracked through a pretty robust benefits realization process. One thing that you do find working in the public sector is that your politicians love efficiency savings, and we have lots and lots of people who work hard claiming efficiency savings, and other people who work equally hard at auditing those savings. So when we talk about benefits, and I think there was a slide later on, we'll talk about the benefits that are delivered. They were submitted to very extensive audit. The benefits that came through. Significantly at the bottom, a change advocate network, and I think many people, probably a lot of you on the call tonight, will have either lived through change and found this the hard way, or picked up change from a textbook viewpoint. People are right at the heart of change, and one of our successes on that transformation program was the establishment of a change advocate network to champion and embed change. So some people, you work to spread the word, in particular convincing your skeptical colleagues that this was the right thing to do. Others literally got their hands dirty delivering change. Um, so moving on, so the three key pillars of transformation that we had: people, where the basic problem had been a little targeted investment in people to develop a motivated, skilled, and efficient workforce. We'll see in a moment some of the stuff that changed there, but quite a lot of work on people. Organization, we had a business where people moved quite slowly around the business. People were owned by project teams, and the one thing that the project team would do, even in the quieter moments, would not be to release their staff back into the business for other purposes. It would rather hang on to them knowing that the next workload peak was coming along. So we've changed our approach so that we can develop staff and move them flexibly around the business. Processes and controls, in the previous world, there was a lot of inconsistency in the way that we were lots of duplication around tools, so inefficiency as well as ineffectiveness. So we saw a big push towards standardized ways of working that we'll see again in a few moments. So starting off, then looking at this organizational change, the balance matrix, as we refer to it. The way that we are now built is staff are owned fundamentally by 9 functions within the business. So I sit within project management, middle of the slide. Other colleagues might sit in product controls or engineering. So these are not quite job families. These are collections of job roles in which people sit, and you could probably relate to many of these in your own organizations. They are quite distinct in terms of the sort of people and the skills that you get. So staff are now owned by those functions, and those functions deploy staff from fundamentally the pool that they own into delivery teams, into project teams in response to demand signals created by the business. So we've changed the model where people are owned by project teams to one where people are owned by the function, owned by the business, and loaned out fundamentally to project teams for fixed duration assignments is the simple model. Those functions do important stuff like manage recruitment. They maintain, develop with the business a strategic view of our longer term, medium to long term workforce needs, and make sure that we are developing, shaping our workforce according to those long term requirements around skills and numbers. They define and provide the training processes, the competence systems, and so on that guide people in terms of that career and development process. And I say they assign staff on a day-to-day basis around what the project teams need. And then we've got these vertical columns are the delivery pillars, if you like. So people are owned with those horizontal functions. They work and they deliver outputs through those vertical ones. So what we're seeing, air, land, ships, and strategic enablers, those are fundamentally the customer facing groups, which is where the bulk of our staff will sit. And over on the right hand side in the grey, corporate functions that you again would recognize in any business. Your titles may be a little bit different, but you could probably recognize the sort of functions that we exist. Those things are there in some cases because of the peculiar nature that we have working within a wider MoD department. But fundamentally, those things are there to enable delivery by those 3 bold coloured pillars. So in very simple terms, what's happening is that the functions are responsible for the who and the how of delivery, setting the policies, the processes, and the tools. Those delivery columns are responsible for the what and the when of delivery. So quite a difference in the model. We call it a balanced matrix because you've got that tension between people being owned on those light blue rows, owned by the functions, and delivering on the vertical axes. Looking at people changes, One of the things that I have recalled over my long career is periods where we've had recruitment freezes. We've had then your feast and famine classically around resourcing. What happened as DNS you went through this journey of becoming this bespoke trading entity? One of the freedoms that it was given was the freedoms fundamentally to decide how it wanted to manage. So no longer were we told you could only have this number of civil servants, which is exactly how it would have been. Certainly the last big cutting exercise around about 2012. We were told you will cut this number of people out of your organisation. Instead, DNS was given a running cost budget, an operating cost budget, and as long as we live within that, how we deliver was up to us. We were given freedoms to establish our own grading structure, pay scales, reward model. And we did. But it hasn't landed. You landed well. With the unions. And it's really some fundamental questions. But I won't even try to answer, but perhaps leave you pondering: how industry-like is it right for DNS to be? Although I am a civil servant. I am not a classic civil servant in terms of a Whitehall Mandarin. I'm not a classic civil servant in one of those public-facing parts of the business like Department of Work and Pensions or HMRC, running a call center or whatever. Our skill sets are very industry-like. We are most definitely competing with industrial partners for people. So how industry-like should DNS be? Is the fact that we are not industry a fundamental USP, universal selling point, as to what actually makes us attractive to employer to certain staff? When we look at salaries, how do you value non-salary benefits? For someone old like me, I retire next next spring. My pension, is hugely valuable to me, and pensions, unquestionably, even now after many reforms, are still more generous than many you would get in the private sector. But how do you value non-salary benefits like a pension? My pension to me very valuable. A pension to someone you're just out of university and so on. You're 40 years away. They may not even think you're 50 years away. How do you value those things? We establish new competence frameworks. I've lived through lots of competence frameworks, so I just yawned. Another competence framework coming through. But fine. It goes with the territory. We established success profiles, which really brought home against those competencies the levels of skill and so on that you needed in order to progress through your career in different roles and career pathways. So understanding how you actually develop your path over your career. We went into recruitment on what I would say is an unprecedented scale. So I've lived through periods where for years we've had virtually no recruitment whatsoever. In financial year 1920 to going back sort of to pre-COVID, we recruited 370, I gather, into project management in that year alone, and that's just mind-boggling. Scale of that recruitment. Then we have done less since, but I guess probably most of us have been distracted by other things over the last 18 months or so. We've been recruiting, not just on a scale that's unprecedented. We've been recruiting in places we've never gone to before, from increasingly diverse backgrounds. Gone are the days where project managers were pretty much all engineering degrees, male, and white. Big emphasis on equality, diversity, and inclusion. Although progress there isn't always easy to visibly measure and so on. I would observe that the DNS workforce has changed visibly in terms of gender and racial mix, ethnicity, and so on in recent years. And we see it as a huge mark of success. And finally, and down at the bottom there, there is in any business a need for contingent labour. People who are not part of your core workforce that you bring in for short-term tasks or to meet peaks and so on. We've established specific commercial engineering and product delivery partners to give us an efficient way of accessing such resources. Moving on fairly quickly. Process and control changes, the DNS way of delivery, as we refer to it. We have now created a central business management system, a library, if you like, within which all of our business processes, policies, procedures, templates, and so on sit. And that covers both business management, your travel and subsistence, and your human resources management, your my annual report processes, and so on, as well as project and service delivery. As a business, we're targeting ISO 9001 accreditation. By the end of this year, the auditors are in literally, not quite as we speak. They've probably gone home for today, but they're literally doing an audit right now. But a back to basics approach on project planning. And what does that really mean? Well, many of you, I guess, on the call today here, you will have APM qualifications, and I would say, in very simple terms, this is no more than applying the sort of tools and techniques that you'd pick up in APMP or its successor, the current one, APM, your PMQ. We're not wanting lots of people to do complicated things. We far rather that people just do the basic things well. On most of our projects. We've established now internally focused your resource schedules in places that we'd never have them before. We didn't have that discipline. We've now got those, and those are fundamental to the way now that we manage our internal resources. Those internally focused schedules are integrated though with the schedules from our suppliers. We don't pull the detail through but the major flows, the critical paths and so on, we bring those through so that we actually understand how DNS work and our supplier work relates. Big push here on improvements to contract planning and management. So getting the planning better is clearly a great place to improve your contracts in the first place. Also, much greater focus on contract management. Contract management, many people in DNS would have argued in the past, well, that's true of my commercial colleagues. No, contract management is a teaming game. Everybody's business is contract management through the things that we explicitly do, and some of the things that perhaps we ought to have done influence those those contracts. So a big push there. A big investment in tools, so P3M as we refer to it, an Oracle-based tool set for project, program, and portfolio management. We'll touch on that in a moment. That capability has been rolling out incrementally since 2017 via a series of software releases, and that work is still ongoing. Looking very briefly then at P3M, where we are today, a system fundamentally sitting right at the heart of it is Primavera P6, our scheduling tool, quite an important part of the plumbing, and a much more sophisticated scheduling tool set than we had before. We were tending to use MS Project and its various forms until transformation came along. There we build and maintain resource schedules. Team member is our time recording system, and at the bottom there, business analytics as we refer to it, because I can't really get OBIIE, it's not really roll off the tongue. That's our reporting engine. So that's where we are today, and one might say that your P3M release 3 is fundamentally focused around scheduling and EVM style reporting. Where we're heading, Unifier release 4, which will start rolling out spring next year, is a much more sophisticated beast. Looking as I go around the clock, that block on the left-hand side, lots of things that we do today with spreadsheets, typically alongside schedules, the way we develop our estimates, the way we break down our big handful scope through a WBS into discrete packages of work, the way we define the scope and so on for those through a dictionary, value management, KPIs, key performance indicators, particularly important for non-acquisition work, so in service stuff, better we use metrics there, change management. Those things fundamentally come within the P3M system. So gone will be the days of lots of separate spreadsheets. Over in that top right hand side, we will have into that system also our links to our financial systems, our approvals data. So we integrate that data. It's all in one place. We'll have automated the flows between PBNF over on the right hand side, planning your business and finance. I think it is your PBNF. We tend to use acronyms. Like the world's coming to an end and sometimes forget what they actually mean. But that's our finance planning system. Automated linked to Unifier. So our land of project planning and cost, links to that world of budgeting and finance. Down now, in the bottom right, improve forecasting, your tools coming through. Middle, retirement of the separate spreadsheet-based cost management tools. The more separate things you have, the more interfaces you've got to manage, the more manual interventions you have, the more opportunities for errors. So this integration is key. And that final one, the improved governance and project history management, all this stuff creates that digital history. In terms of whether we've actually delivered benefits transformation, the simple answer is yes. What you're seeing in the bottom of that slide, the target that we'd had was just under 3.5 billion delivered. This will be a 10-year figure. 4.5 billion was achieved and audited. What we will you see, so at one level that was really great news. We had achieved that. But that's not to say that the job is finished. And so I could have done better than perhaps the PAC report issued yesterday. We've still got projects, which face significant challenges, But I would say things are never really passed quite as always as they plan out, And coming back to my early slide when I spoke about the number of contracts, we've got the number of projects that we have here in MoD. An awful lot of our projects, the most of our projects just happily going on in their background, plodding along, delivering, exactly as expected. So it's small numbers that get that that spotlight on them. And one thing I would say, and again, the link is in the bottom right. National Audit Office, NAO. We wouldn't normally count NAO, as one of our friends. Indeed, I'm not sure that my NAO colleagues actually have friends. They're generally quite unpleasant people to. No, they're lovely people to deal with. Probably someone on the call tonight. But even their latest report, this is going back, I think, to July of this year. Their latest report, on equipment procurement, was actually a much more upbeat report than I have seen in donkey's years. That's an awful long time for those who you don't really relate to donkeys particularly well. What you'll see in that report, I say the link is there. You'll find it on the internet if you won't go looking for it. You will find, much as you were hearing in the PAC report, references to projects, your long-running projects that are running late. And I can think of things like A400M will be cited in there, Ajax, also Spearfish, Marshall, Crow's Nest, A400M. That contract dates back to 2003. And if a project like that has gone off track, it's very hard to imagine, that you will bring it back on track. So our focus now, probably for those projects that are struggling, is to contain, quite honestly, rather than try to recover, your large-scale slippage and cost growth. The important thing is that we stop that happening, and we stop the rates of deterioration on projects that are struggling. Looking ahead and coming to the end of the presentation, hopefully, the DS25, look, that responds to the integrated review, defence and security review that took place last year before last, to lose track now of where it was. COVID sent everybody's timescales a bit strange. What we're looking for are our transformation, ongoing improvement around a number of big themes. So pace and agility. You can read the bullet points as fast probably as I can, but streamlining approvals, alignment, integration, agility comes strongly in there. Sport improvement down the bottom. One might argue that a lot of our transformation over the last 5 years or so has been focused heavily on acquisition. We now need to address that balance. Why? Because support represents just over half of our annual spend. Value to the taxpayer and to society, quite obvious there, but we're seeing the environmental agenda coming through, net zero 2050. Social value, a funny term. What that means is that back in the olden days, you turn back the clock a few years, the old adage would have been, we were looking for the lowest compliant tender. Money against the quality and so on that we're looking for. Now there's a requirement across government that we consider broader government socio-economic agendas when we place contracts, and 10% of tender value can go to those things that are around small and medium enterprises, the levelling up agendas, environmental agendas, and so on. So interesting mix there. delivery through people, big focus on leadership, capability, new HR management system, new reward arrangements, we're all desperately waiting to see just quite what that is going to bring, although clearly at the moment living within a pay freeze makes any reward arrangement really quite intriguing, but changes to the way we train, that big push, continued focus on diversity and so on, and then over on that right hand side, piloting of test and evaluation, so trying to get away from physical trials, doing more digitally, communities of interest, knowledge sharing, and so on. And finally, on that right-hand side, delivery through partners, so cloud-based solutions. So a lot of our routine stuff, we actually take a lot of this transactional stuff out of placing discrete contracts and so on. We try to be far more digital in there. Looking at supply chain mapping, I think we've all found COVID quite strange in that we've only found by the hard way that we don't understand our supply chains in detail. So trying to understand that in more detail. So I will press on. So you're seeing the flavour coming through there. Personal reflections. It's been a roller coaster ride, transforming while still delivering to customers. I certainly feel the core principles, were right, but execution could have been better, But I think if there was a piece of the toolkit that I would love, in the project management toolkit, it's hindsight, that ability to time travel. It's easiest to do things, when you look back, much harder when you go forward. Simultaneously changing organisation and people models and establishing that DNS way was actually very brave. There are many people, I remember some senior industrialists saying, that they would never have embarked on anything that ambitious. It's like taking, maintaining all legs of a store, three-legged store at the same time. But our customer couldn't go anywhere else. Our problems were interconnected. If we'd only focused on one of those, we wouldn't have made the headway that we've done. We started transformation short of staff. We're still short of staff. Our demographic means that we've lost and continue to lose lots of experienced staff. So we've still got huge challenges on that people front. We were very dependent on contractor support. They had good skills and experience, but didn't understand our business. Some of the medicine they had probably wasn't really what the patient needed, and they were quite expensive. The one-size-fits-all approach was widely challenged by many staff at the time. We should have done tailoring much earlier, and we just saved hassle as a result. Final killer questions. Am I proud of what we do and the transformation we've achieved? Unquestionably, yes. Frustrated, we probably could have done more, but that's the benefit of hindsight. Would I recommend DNS as a place to work? Unquestionably, yes. Again, I've had a wonderful 37 years. There have been dips and so on, but overall variety, and stimulation, every day of the week. That's what I keep saying to my boss. He may be online. I'll probably get a stick from him tomorrow. So I have literally probably gone to the wire there. There may be time, Rob, literally for one or two questions. So let's see what you can throw at me. Whether I've got any friends out there, or whether I'm like NAO and I've got no friends. Anything there, Rob, that you can give me?
Yeah, no, I'm here, Ian. Firstly, I'm going to say thank you for sharing and giving up your time. I'm going to try and combine a couple of the questions that have come in, like Scott and Catherine have said, and you touched on it, but the Public Accounts Committee have just issued a rather damning report, perhaps. Are you able to offer any comment?
Well, I must admit, I had hoped that we'd start on easy questions and so on, because this one could get me into quite serious hot water and so on. Say that PAC report. I listened to the radio yesterday morning. And I thought, oh bother, this isn't great time. I read the report. At one level, it didn't have any great surprises in me. I've spoken about the NAO report. I would commend people to read the NAO report. It's bigger, and perhaps lacks some of the political spin that PAC reports get. Formally, I have no position. On PAC report. If you want one, you have to speak to the MoD press office. But informally, look at that NAO report. It's probably 3 times the size. Got a lot more breadth around basically the issues that PAC have. And that NAO report, albeit it highlights the problems that we've got, it talks quite positively about the changes, the green shoots of recovery that it was seeing, which was very pleasing. So first question, hopefully satisfactory answer. Satisfactory means I don't get the sack tomorrow, in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, not a problem, Ian. And as you mentioned, we're recording today's session, so I can always edit this bit out if needed. But no, I joke. I'll move on to the next question. I'm conscious of time, but I'm going to be a little bit cheeky. But I'll ask you this question from Tom. What tools are you using for the dashboards? Would you be able to demonstrate use of any?
I certainly can't demonstrate because I'm on my home PC, not my work PC, because work PC won't allow me to do webinars. So the basic tools that we've got, the data-rich dashboards are all pretty much generated in Power BI, which is one of the Office 365 applications. But the Power BI application is doing nothing more than pulling through data from a big data warehouse, which is fed monthly with huge volumes of data, fundamentally from the P3M system, from ARM, Activity Manager, our risk tool, and other tools like that. So Power BI, is the answer to that one.
Excellent. Thank you, Ian. There are a couple more questions. Are you okay with time? I don't want to.
I'm okay with time. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So Melissa has asked. She started by saying, "Great brief. I'm interested in what transformational activities that Bernard Gray pointed out still haven't been embedded in DE&S culture."
Oh, that's an interesting one. What haven't been embedded in culture? I think many people are still reluctant to work to formal your project management methods. Many people were used to winging it. Delivering by seat of pants. The idea of delivering to schedules and all of the hard graft of putting those schedules in place. Some people do resent. They don't see the value in it. They are clearly aware of the amount of time and energy that goes into producing plans. What I don't think they recognize is just how much time and energy goes into to facing and fighting issues, fighting fires and so on when you deliver without a decent plan. So I keep on saying plan. House doesn't have decent foundations, it's going to do one thing, it's going to fall apart and sink. That planning culture is still not where it needs to be in DNS. And some of that is because we tend to view each and every project as if nothing like this has ever been delivered before. My challenge back to my colleagues is the product that you produce, the ship, the tank, the radio, or whatever, may be very different from the project next to you. But the process through which you deliver it, is very much the same. We should focus on the similarities between our projects rather than the differences between the projects. We can then draw on plans from projects that have delivered, the learning from those projects, recycle into the plans for our next project. So that's the way that we will drive both efficiency into planning and drive effectiveness through capture and application of learning.
Excellent. Thank you, Ian. And Melissa, thank you for the question. I'll end on this final question, but James has asked, "Hi, Ian. Any challenges with aligning the DE&S standardized P3M approaches with suppliers, many of whom use different tools, processes, etc.?"
I give a very simple answer to that one. Yes, The last thing we want to do is to physically link our schedules with those of industry. But it's not just the tools incompatibilities. Most businesses will clearly work to a monthly drumbeat. And misalignment between a drumbeat of say ourselves and BAE or Thales or Babcock or Rolls. If you're perfectly aligned, you're much in step. If you're not aligned, you could be as much as a month or so out of date with information. So yes, we still struggle with transmission of information. The information that we want from industry around schedules. There are things that we can do to interrogate industry schedule. Industry tends to use a lot of P6, but not import their schedules into our system because it can do all sorts of untold damage to people's schedules. So yes, it is a problem area. And we're working on it. Yeah.
Oh, good news. Well, thank you, Ian, and James again. Thank you for the question. I think on this point, I'll bring Martin back into the picture. And Martin, if I could ask you to close today's event. But thank you,
Of course,
Ian.
thank you very much indeed, Rob. And Ian, thank you very much for a very entertaining and sort of a honest and open look at where DNS has been, where it's going to, and sort of and the journey still the path ahead. Certainly it's transformed since I left. I left in 2012, and sort of having responded to Bernard Gray's original report, or trying to
It's
put
got
some.
much better, Martin, since.
Or,
Yeah, I jest.
yeah, it has got better since I left, definitely. Quite agree with that. But no, it's fantastic for you to share your experience. There's lots of really good nuggets in there. When you're talking about this integrated tool, I can't remember what it was called now. But it struck me as reminding me about Aspect, and you remember that, won't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Back to the back to the late 1990s, a set of PE tools which is supposed to be pulling this fully integrated digital suite of stuff together. So it looks like you just about got there about 20 years later, which is good.
We are generally getting pretty well provided on IT. It's just incredible how the business has developed over recent years. The challenge now is people turning data into information, and starting to mine that data intelligently. So using AI type tools, trend analyzers, pattern recognition, and so on to spot the problem, your projects perhaps even faster than people can.
That's which is good news. I think the GNS is definitely going in the right direction. And we've had various presentations recently from Babcock and other sort of big industry suppliers, and they're all going the same direction, which is good news. It's all about singing off the same hymn sheet, which is good going forward. I think from a supplier and sort of customer point of view.
And I think, Martin, that going forward, it's very hard to correct projects, once they've gone off the rails. It's not just us, that has those. You could pick, many industrial partners have them. All you can really focus on is reducing the likelihood that happens, and making sure that you learn from it and do better. And we're certainly doing that in spades.
Yep, unfortunately, we'll still get a lot of bad press for many years over various of the difficult projects, which as you quite rightly said, they went wrong a very long time ago, and you can't turn them around. It's not possible, not possible to do that. I think the other thing I'll touch on very briefly as well is you talk about the culture from the last question, and it rang chimes with me about the concept of the hero project manager.
Mm-hmm.
Back in days of yore, you were celebrated if you turned a bad project around, being a hero, and ignored all the planning and everything else. And of course, the days of that sort of thing's long gone, and should have gone a long time ago. So that's really good news that's been fully recognised now, and you're working your way through the culture on that. So probably the way to go.
Fire prevention is much less glamorous, but actually far more important.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I quite absolutely agree with that. So, Ian, thank you very much indeed for a really good, exciting and informative presentation. Not quite warts and all, so I think you were careful and you won't get sacked over it.
Well, I hope so. I'll probably find out tomorrow morning, boss, if you're listening. Well, I was joking about getting the sack, but I'll find out probably at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But you're probably at your stage of your career now, you don't give a damn anyhow.
I care passionately about the business, and that's my problem. As I leave, my boss knows he's trying to persuade me to stay on, and I am torn on the subject at the moment. But no, I am towards the back end of my career, which is a lovely place to be in some ways, but sad in others.
Yes, many of us have worked there for many years as well. Do think a great deal of it, and it has a very strong future. So, Ian, thank you very much. Just to let you know, we had 66 people attend altogether, which is good. So
okay.
Please you on that. So once again, Ian, thank you very much indeed. I'll be in touch about sort of write-ups and newsletters and things like that. So thank you all very much for joining, and thank you all very much for the questions. Please do remember the evaluation feedbacks, and let us know what you think about tonight's talk, and more importantly, what you want us to do in the future for you. So with that, thank you very much indeed, and a very good night.
Cheers then. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.